Hey, I'm Chey, and this past weekend, I finally got to see one of my favorite bands live in concert for the first time. Ready? Rollin'. I have made a video about the Dirty Nil before, a short to be exact, and I do plan on making several videos about them in the future, considering they have several albums and many songs that make my ears very happy. But this was the first chance that I ever had to see them actually live. I remember, I think it was back in February when they announced this US tour. I saw it on Instagram a few minutes after it was announced, and I was in the car with my mom, and I almost screamed. Not like a squeaky anime scream, more like a very, bare, like visceral, just, enjoy. Enjoy. I was gonna say a groan, but that's not the correct word. I was trying to think of a more scary version of the word scream. Yell? I was gonna yell. I wanted to yell in excitement. Wow, Chey, how hard was that to say? Apparently very. I was excited not only because they're one of my favorite bands, but because they're Canadian, so that means they don't often get to tour in the US. Or at least, it's harder for them to tour in the US than it is a lot of native US bands. So when I saw that they were finally doing a full US tour and that they had a Nashville date, I was over the moon. Tickets didn't go on sale that day, but you can bet dollars to donuts the day they went on sale, I snapped up 2 tickets. One for me, one for Mama Chey. I'm fairly new to this band. I say fairly new. I've listened to them since like 2018? 2019 or 2020. Somewhere around in there. I didn't even know they existed until another band member introduced me to them. Who is that band member, you ask? It's Caleb Shomo. Who's surprised? Who's surprised? Absolutely no one is surprised. Back in ye old yonder year, children, when Caleb Shomo used to stream... Come back home, Caleb. We miss you. That sounded so dark. Back when Caleb used to stream on Twitch, he would play music, like a lot of streamers do. He would play different kinds of music, but I remember on this particular stream, he was playing a song that I was like, what is that? That's incredible. I couldn't hear all of it, because he had it turned down for DMCA and all that kind of stuff. But the chorus that I heard was so catchy. And so I asked Caleb in chat, I was like, who is that? And Caleb was like, oh, this is a band called the Dirty Nil. They're amazing. And I said, oh, I've never heard of them before, but they sound great. He was like, Chey, are you kidding me? Chey, you've never heard of the Nil? And I specifically remember this after I told Caleb that no, I wasn't kidding. I had never heard of them. He was like, oh my gosh, Chey, you would freaking love the Nil. They're right up your alley. You're gonna freaking dig them. He was like, trust me, you're gonna love them. He told me to check out the song Pain of Infinity, and then he cranked up the current song, which was on stream, and that was the song Elvis 77. By the way, that song is still one of my favorite songs. So I clicked off stream, went and checked out Pain of Infinity, and fell in love. Literally within the first 30 seconds. Pain of Infinity's music video is one of my favorite music videos I have ever seen. Pain of Infinity is one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. The guitars in that song make me stem so freaking hard, it's not even funny. It's almost concerning, actually. The very beginning, when Luke has his guitar and he's down, down. That looked odd, but if you know the song, you know what I'm talking about. That part just makes my brain do wah, 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 in a good way. If the Nil ever see this, they are gonna ban me from shows. Anyway, all of that to say, me and my mom were super pumped for the show. We had the time of our lives, as you'll see in the clips. It was at the Basement East in Nashville, which is one of the few venues in Nashville that I had yet to attend a show at. Before we get into the actual concert footage, I always like to make a little disclaimer beforehand. I will warn you that in these clips, I do scream a lot, mostly in trying to sing along to the songs, but also just cheering, screaming, out of excitement. Anyone who has ever had the misfortune to be standing around me at a show, or goodness forbid, be the band on stage and seeing me, has seen that I lose my absolute freaking mind at shows. I look like I'm possessed. I know I do. I've seen footage of me. I have footage of me. And I used to be really self-conscious about acting that way, but I don't act that way. That's just how I am. And I used to be really embarrassed about showing that. But now I realize that it's just part of me, it's part of my ADHD, it's part of my stemming, and I just embrace it, you know? Life's too short to not embrace the thing that makes you so extremely happy and sets your soul on fire. And for me, that is seeing live music. So I always like to give a little disclaimer that you will hear screaming, you will hear singing, the camera angles will not be the best, I am not winning cinematographer of the year. I am just fully documenting what it was like to be me at those shows, to be someone in the crowd at those shows, having just an absolute blast. If you came here for James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, concert footage type quality, unfortunately I'm not your girl. There are plenty of other channels who do that extremely well. In fact, I will link one of my favorite concert footage videos of the Dirty Nil down below. But if you're just here to have a great time, to see someone else having a great time, then I am your girl. So just a disclaimer, but no apologies. I'm not gonna apologize for my joy. Bro, we are really the first ones here. Legit. Legit. The first one's here. The first one's here. Now I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. But look at the fit. Isn't the fit nice? I know it is. yeah, my mom like went around to ask where the front door was, and as soon as she asked that, someone in the back like screamed, like cheering, and I was like, oh, they're like, yay, someone's here.
Someone's here to see the band, yay!
She also thinks that the Dirty Nil song Bye Bye Big Bear, she thought it was Bye Bye Big Bird. She thought it was an anthem about killing Big Bird. The vlog.
Oh.
If this is gonna be a vlog. I don't know what this is gonna be. It may not be a vlog. But this is what it is for now. I always have trouble when I'm filming these shows on which direction to turn my camera when, because my head is usually doing the opposite. Because of where I was in the crowd, it was really hard not to just get crotch shots half the time. And those were shots that I did not want to focus on because they're weird. But also, I didn't want to be the person up at the very front of the stage holding my phone like this high. Because I wasn't filming all the time. I never want to be that person. I want to be there enjoying the show, experiencing it. But also, I do like to take videos for memories. So if you notice sudden shift changes in the camera angles, like it goes from super low to all of a sudden super high, or it's just way too high sometimes for way too long, that's why. Because usually when I'm filming a show, I can keep it about right here, but I couldn't really do that at this show. So, apologies.
Give it up for the band one time, give it up for the band one time. Give it up for the band one time, give it up for the band one time. Come on. You got it. You got it. Come on, Joe. guys doing? I said, how you guys doing? I said, how you guys doing? We just put out a new record, it's called Free Reign to Passions. Meet me at the corner store at midnight. And if you bring $20, then we can have a real good time. It ain't ours if it's ours. And to bring a lot around one by turn. Damn, this fuse is pretty short, man. But if it pulls off all our fingers, it'll be a real good thing. And if the police come and stop our fun, we can hit the trail and see how they can run. You guys having fun so far tonight, Nashville? I said, are you guys having fun tonight, Nashville? Guys, this is by far the most amount of people we've ever played to here. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. All right, this one's for you guys, okay? On the bass, the Prince of Dundas, Ontario, Canada. Mr. Sam Tomlinson! We're the Dirty Nil from Dundas, Ontario, Canada. We're the boys in the better land. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much. Baby, I'll be waiting in the hand. 'Cause I don't care about you, man. I don't care about you, man. I don't care. No, I don't care. My parents are here. And I love you guys. And I'm sorry I said the F word so many times. And I'm sorry that I said Hail Satan. We'll talk about it later. I love you. Thanks for coming. And thank you guys for coming. You guys rule. Yeah! We're gonna play a song about dying now, so
Mari.
And if you'll excuse me, Nashville, Tennessee, I've never done this before, but I'm gonna put on my shades. Just for this one. Just for Nashville, Tennessee. Can I get a hell yeah? Can I get a hell yeah? That's what I'm talking about. Do some living while you're able. Try not to be ungrateful for the gift of suffering, the light, the void, and everything. Come on, baby, tell me, are you like me?
So, alas, the show is over and we are back home. If it wasn't obvious, we had an amazing time. I was going to film this commentary portion on the 4th of July, but today is also a very fitting day to film it because apparently today is National Rock and Roll Day, which I didn't even know was a thing. Why has no one told me about this before? Of course, it would have been fitting on the 4th of July as well, or as I'm now officially calling it from here on out, National Blowing Up Things in the Woods Day. My decision has been sanctioned by the Dirty Nil themselves, so it's just the law now. It's just the law. It's my own personal law now. Not much to say for what happened after the show. We did get to talk to the band members a little bit. That was fun. I won't get very much into that because it's just the typical, they were outside, say hello, chit-chat for a while, then head on our merry way. It was a small venue. There was a patio outside. They were just chilling there, and we had to spend time waiting on our Uber in that same space. Like I said, I'm not going to get much more into detail than that, but I will say that all the band members that we talked to were incredibly nice and very, very sweet and lovely. I will say, me personally, I ended up talking to Kyle from the Dirty Nil the most. Did I say the Kyle? The Kyle from the Dirty Nil. I ended up talking to the freaking Kyle from the Dirty Nil. Kyle, if for some godforsaken reason you're watching this, you're the Kyle from now on. But seriously, he was very cool, very chill to talk to. Everyone was. Great experience. 10 out of 10. 20 out of 10. 25 out of 10. Now it's time for one of my favorite portions. Let's get into some merch, shall we? I knew when I walked into that venue I was in some danger. Merch danger. Y'all already know that it's hard for me to restrain myself when it comes to buying merch to support my favorite bands. The Nil was a little bit more dangerous because I don't own any piece of merch from them. At all. Kinda like nothing nowhere. Don't ask me why, I just don't. There's a lot of bands that I love that I don't own a piece of merch of. There's just too many bands with too much merch, and I have so little money. But I was dead set on getting at least one or two things while I was there. Well, me and my mom walked in, went up to the merch booth, and I knew I was in danger. Because I wanted every single one of their items. It's rare for me to say that about a band's merch, but truthfully, honestly, I really did love every single merch item that they had. I wish I had taken a picture of it to show you for context, but I didn't. However, I did buy some of it, and so I'll get to show you those pieces in a second. I will say that all the bands had great merch, but I really had to restrict and limit myself, so I ended up only buying 5 things. That's pretty good self-control for Chey. The first t-shirt I got was this red one with a pocket on the front. It has one of their little flower homies from their album poking out, which I think is totally sick. It has no design on the back, but I don't really think it needs it. It's just simply sick. That's a good band name. I also don't think that I own any red shirts. If I do, I own very few of them. So for the Nil, I'll make an exception. Related to that red, this second shirt I got isn't totally red, but it has a lot of it. There's no design on the back either, but the one on the front obviously caught my eye immediately. It's got their name, their logo, and then this art of another little flower homie driving on a kind of terrifying bulldozer, decorated with all kinds of Nil and nature embellishments, if you will. My mom and I both loved this shirt from the second we saw it, and so we both got one. We're gonna be rocking that matching band merch later. So those were the only clothing items that I picked up from the merch booths, but I did pick up some music. I picked up 2 of the Dirty Nil's vinyl because I have absolutely no self-control. I think they had pretty much every full-length album release that they've put out there on vinyl, except for Master Volume. And Master Volume is my favorite album of theirs, so of course they didn't have it, and of course I was a little bit sad. But I also don't own any of their vinyl to begin with, or at least I didn't before the show, so I was happy just to be able to finally pick some up. The first vinyl I got is F Art. Needless to say, this is also a great album. All their albums are great, but also look how cute the cover is. Funnily enough, 2 of my favorite songs from this album are actually featured on the promo sticker. This is also the album that has the first song I ever heard from them on Caleb's stream, Elvis 77. So it's special, and it's beautiful. I can't wait to jam out to it. The second album I picked up was their latest album, Free Reign to Passions. And I didn't notice this until I got home, but it's a special edition pressing out of 500, so that's pretty freaking cool. Y'all know how I feel about cover art, and I mean, what can I say? This album has gorgeous art. It's a lot going on, but it's intricate and interesting and cool without being obnoxious about it. I love this album, and don't tell anyone, but it's slowly encroaching on Master Volume's place as my favorite album by them. I love every track, including the 2 mentioned on the promo sticker. But my favorites are the title track, Free Reign to Passions, and The Light, The Void, and Everything. Also, I'm a really big fan of Blowing Up Things in the Woods. The song. What'd you think I was talking about? So that's it for the Dirty Nil merch, but I did get one other merch item. The last thing that I got, well, I mean, me and my mom both kind of got, was the album Already Out of Time by the opening band Stoop Kids. This band was just so fun, so groovy, and they're local peeps. I definitely wanted a CD because I collect them, and also I'm just old and I love my CD collection. But I also wanted to get it from my mom to have and to play in her car since they're one of her new favorite bands. I guess you could say we have shared custody of this CD. But I also got these cool stickers with it for free. Now that the merch has been documented and accounted for, let's talk about the actual concert experience. So firstly, as you saw in the clip, we were the first ones there, at least the first ones to line up. I'm sure that people arrived beforehand, but we were the only ones standing outside for a long time. I say long time, it was like 20 minutes. 20 minutes before doors though, and we were the only ones there. literally as the door was opening, more people started walking up, and I was like, oh, thank goodness. I was about to throw a fit if we were going to be the only ones there. I knew in my soul that there was no way that Thrashville was going to end up disappointing these people. So we were the first ones in the venue. We went and checked out merch. It wasn't for sale yet, so we kind of just meandered around, and slowly people started filtering in. I will say, though, I thought it was going to be maybe like half and half. I know a lot of people don't usually come for the opener, but still, I was like, maybe because it's a holiday weekend. Like, that was my first thought, is like, maybe there's not as many people as it seems it would usually be because it's July 4th weekend and people are just out of town. They've skedaddled from Nashville before the Music City fireworks start going off. Which, you know what? Fair and valid. I stay as far away from Nashville as I can around any kind of holiday, unless I'm forced to. By the end of the show, though, that place was completely packed. Packed out. I don't know if it sold out. It may have. I don't know if it did, but it sure seems like it did. That place was full, which, of course, I was more than happy to see. I didn't notice it, though, until I turned around at the very end of the show. That's something else I want to comment on. So because we were the first ones in the venue, we got our pick of where we wanted to stand. And no one was standing near the stage. These people that had filtered in with us, I'd say it's about like 20 people during the first 10 minutes of doors. No one was standing near the stage. And my mom was like, do they know something we don't? And I was like, I don't think so. I think people just don't want to be up here for the opening band because they don't want to be that awkward, like, yeah, I'm into it, but when's the headliner coming on? Like, they want to be a respectful kind of distance. But I don't play that game. I go all out when it comes to shows. I don't care if I've never heard the band before. It's a blessing and a curse for everyone in the immediate vicinity, including me. So where do we choose to go? Right smack dab in the front of the stage. Right in front, baby. Right up against the stage, actually. Well, you saw it in the videos. You saw how close I was to the freaking edge of the stage. The stage wasn't that tall. I'd say it came about like waist height, so we were able to get right up against it. Quite freaking literally. Especially by the time the Nil came on, we were up against it. But we chose a spot kinda in the middle, more so off to the left a little bit. I didn't want to be that person standing directly in the middle of the stage like, I am here. Entertain me. I didn't want to be that person. While we were waiting around for showtime, speak, Chey. Wow, that was a big thing my eyebrows just did there. Blue steel. I started engineering. Or at least I slipped back into my engineering kind of role. I started looking at the setup on the stage. I started looking at how they wrap their cables, looking at how they wrap the cables around the mic stands, all their hardware, all their equipment, their general setup. And of course, I was being obnoxious and making comments on this setup to my mom. Which was nice, because that let me nerd out a little bit while we were, waiting around. I should start doing rating stage setups for all the concerts that I go to. Rating based on cable management, on cable wrapping, on the mic choices. No, that would be annoying. I'm not gonna do that. I could, I'm not going to. At least not right now. Watch me eat my words in like a year. I would do something like that actually. I just don't think that I would do it very seriously. I would definitely make a video like that as a joke. Because I love watching those roasting your bookshelves or roasting your desk setup kind of videos. I should really do roasting stage setups. Send me your stages. Why did that sound vaguely threatening? Send me your stages. I require your cable management. During the time we were waiting for the bands, merch also went on sale. The Kyle was working the Dirty Nil's merch booth, and so that's when I went up and first started talking to him. I was picking out some merch, we were chit-chatting, and then we got into a discussion about drumming, because my mom wants me to be a drummer. So I was talking to him about that, talking to him about engineering, and just how generally excited we were for the show. Had a nice little chat, got my stuff, went back to my mom. My mom saw the t-shirt and was like, I really like that. And when she was looking at the t-shirt that she said she liked, I held it up and I was like, I think this could fit you. And I saw my opportunity. So I went back up there to the merch booth and I was like, hi, it's me again. And Kyle was like, did an order come in? And I was like, no, my mom just really likes the t-shirt and wants one. So now I gotta get my own because she took mine. Or I gave her mine. And he was like, you know what, fair enough. So I got another t-shirt, but this one I actually sized down. And I'm pretty happy about that because it fits me better. I'm fine with the other one I got being a large. It still fits me. It's just a little bit baggier. And then the bands came on. The first band was I didn't know this at the time, but they're a local band. They're called Stoop Kids, and they were absolutely freaking incredible. They're actually one of my favorite opening bands I've ever seen at a show. I've never seen an opening band that I outright didn't like. Like one where I was like, they stink bad. bad. But also it's very rare for me to be like, oh my freaking god, this band is incredible. That is, of course, unless I already know the opening band, like when Beartooth opens for someone, or when Rivals open for Set It Off. Back on track, Chey. Steered the train back on the track. Stoop Kids. Amazing. I tried to include every single video that I took from their performance in this video. I didn't take that many because I was too busy having fun. But the ones that I took were just moments that made me laugh really, really hard. That's another thing. I don't think an opening band has ever made me laugh. Like, laugh as in having a good time. Totally vibing. Not only did they have great songs and great communication on stage, their dynamic was just everything. Clearly they're musically talented and their songs were absolute bops. So not only were we getting doused in great tunes, but it was also kind of like we were experiencing a musical episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Kinda. It was goofiness, yeah, but it wasn't goofiness that detracted from the performance. I think they had a great balance of knowing when to throw it in and when to reel it back. Because whenever they threw it out there, whenever they started doing something, you know, goofy or silly or just fun, it was at moments that really fit in the songs and kind of enhanced the vibe for it. It felt very theatrical, not in the dramatic sense, but in the visual sense, the visual matching the visuals to the sound, but it also felt still improv-y. They also quickly became one of my mom's new favorite bands. She absolutely freaking adores them. It was kind of cute, actually, to watch her fangirl. Because after they finished and they were cleaning up their stage and they were doing teardown and setup for the next band, my mom actually went over to the vocalist. Well, she asked me first, she was like, do you think I can get one of the set list? And I was like, aw, Mama Chey. I was like, yeah, just go ask the frontman, because he's like tearing up the set list right now. And so she did. She went over and like asked him for it, and he was like, oh my gosh, yeah. And so like they fist bumped and chit chatted a little bit, and she just had the biggest smile on her face. It was adorable. She's gonna hate me saying that, but it's true, Mama Chey. You gonna call me a liar? No, you're not. Well, you probably will, but you know I'm telling the truth. The frontman told my mom, he was like, come find me after the show and I'll sign the set list. So of course, you know, we had to find him. That sounded ominous, but I'm just reusing his words. We got a couple of them to sign the set list, chit-chatted with them. Great times. They're actually from Louisiana, I think they said, but now they're local here to Nashville, so I definitely hope to catch them around the area in the future. The next band to come on was Daniel Romano's The Outfit. I will admit that unfortunately I had never heard of this band until this tour was announced, but I am very happy to say that they have definitely made a fan out of me. I don't even really know how to describe their performance. First of all, I'm going to say it was extremely good. They're all clearly in sync with each other. They know how to vibe off of each other in that groove sense. They know how to jam with each other. That's the term I'm looking for. They clearly know how to jam with each other. They know each other. They're very in sync, and they were all talented. And such a joy to watch each individual member of that band do their thing. If you're into 70s, 80s rock, but kind of more modernized a little bit, you should definitely check this band out. The whole time that I was in front of the two main vocalists, I just kept thinking, watching them and their movements, the female vocalist, who I don't know her name, unfortunately, but she was wearing the kink shirt and had the orange pants, and she was a powerhouse vocalist, by the way. But my point, watching her, she kept reminding me of someone in the way that she was moving, the way that she was acting. And of course, it calls back to a lot of the classic rock kind of movements, kind of auras, but something that had clearly been made her own. But I was trying to think of what it reminded me of. And then there was one point where she was interacting with the frontman, and I was watching their dynamic, and it hit me. Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. Hey, Julia, you should go check out this band. Like now. Like now. Anyone who's into the kind of dynamic that Robert Plant and Jimmy Page had, especially in early Led Zeppelin, like if you've ever seen those live early Led Zeppelin videos, this is the kind of dynamic that the band felt like they had, especially these two members. But like I said, clearly it was something that had the vibes of that, but had been made their own. And that was really, really cool to see. It was really engaging, it was groovy, it was vibey, it was just outright rocking. They pretty much didn't pause during their entire set. The only time that they would pause is to introduce another band member who would be taking on a leading role in the next song. It was just song after song after song after song. Just non-stop rock and roll. I freaking loved it. I don't know what else to tell you. They came on and commanded that stage like they had played it a million times. They clearly felt right at home. And now, we get to the nil. How do I even phrase this? To be completely bluntly honest with you, I've kind of been procrastinating on this part of the video because I'm afraid that I won't have the proper words or phrases to get across what I want to say, but I'm just gonna go for it. We're gonna see how this turns out, for better or for worse. I'm married to the music, for better or for worse. Y'all remember that You Me at 6 song? That's a good song. I've got to cut my hair. Okay, no more procrastinating. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna go for it. The Dirty Nil's performance was honestly one of the best performances I have ever seen in my entire life. Okay, it's out there now. I've said it. I've said it, and I fully stand by it. Because it is my opinion, and so I can do that. Everything about it was just... It was incredible. It was amazing. I don't have the proper verbiage for it. I had the time of my life. The vibe, the musical talent, the crowd interaction, the band interaction. Everything was just pretty darn near perfect out of everything that you would want a show to be. It just felt like a giant party. And by the end of it, it felt like I had known everyone in the room for forever. People talk about music a lot as a community, right? It's a great unifier. People of all kinds, of all backgrounds, of all races and creeds and beliefs can come together under one common love of something. They can all come together in a room for a couple of hours, bond over something that they love, and forget about the outside world for a little bit. That's something that's very often talked about in music. And even more so in the rock and kind of metal worlds, there's talk about the community, right? About how there's a general community overall, of course, but especially when you're at a show, that community is like one big family. Because you're all sharing this experience together. You're all sharing this love together, this happiness, hopefully, this amazing time. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen that quite as clearly demonstrated as it was at this show. Like, all of that may sound cliche, but it's truly what this show felt like. I've always known the community aspect, the family aspect, but by the end of the show, I more than knew it. It was one of the first times that I've ever actually truly felt it. There's been a lot of moments at shows, you know, where I felt it, where we're all singing along to a certain song, or, you know, goodness forbid someone gets hurt in a mosh pit and we all band together, you know, to get them out safety, get the band's attention, stop the show, that kind of thing. But I don't think I've ever felt that feeling at an overall show. Especially at the culmination of the show, at the end of the show, where everyone truly didn't want to go home, and no one was tired, it felt like, and everyone was just having a good time, and it felt like we were over at our friend's basement. I've never felt that feeling as strongly and about an overall show as I did at that show. And that's super powerful. That's crazy powerful. It just outright showcased one of my favorite things about music, about going to shows. It just becomes home. And it felt like home there. Like, there was no judgment, there was only acceptance and rocking out. I didn't have any drunk people pestering me, and in my area, no one was getting pushed or shoved without their consent, of course, in the mosh pit. But I didn't have people, like, trying to push me to, like, rush the stage or, you know, push me out of the way so they could get to the front of the stage or anything. That has pretty much happened to me at almost every show that I've ever been to. Almost. I can count on my hand the handful of times. Well, that's why I can count on my hand, because it's a handful, Chey. Very good. We have a degree. So this was just special to me. Of course, I was losing my crap the entire time, as anyone around me could tell you. Honestly, that may be why they left me alone. That kind of happened at the Beartooth show, too. I was just going, like, visceral, as I usually do, and people tend to give me a kind of wide berth. Maybe because they're afraid I'm gonna headbutt them. Anyway, if you couldn't tell, their performance freaking blew me away. Kind of like the outfit, they just came on that stage and completely owned the place. They owned that venue. They knew exactly how to feel into that crowd energy, where the crowd was at, what the crowd may have needed, what the crowd wanted. They were able to play into that and then to elevate it and just draw even more out of us as just a big positive feedback loop. Usually in my line of work, that's not a positive thing. But it was here. Each song just kept getting more and more and more hyped. They were incredibly fun to watch on stage, and they sound amazing on the albums, but they sound even better live. And I think it's because live, they can add a little bit more flair, you know, they can add a little bit more of a improv-y kind of thing into it if they want to. They're able to just fully jam out. And boy, we were jamming. Oh boy, were we jamming. I went so hard at this show. I was headbanging pretty much the entire time. And they played all of my favorite songs. At least I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty certain they did. Because when I saw the set list on the stage, I was like, I would say the hypest that I got was probably during Pain of Infinity and Free Reign to Passions. I got pretty hyped during Celebration too, but just hearing all those songs live, they're rock songs, and so getting to see them actually rocked out in front of you, getting to rock out with them and just lose your mind, to go feral, if you will, just a spiritual experience almost. They came out on that stage with 120% energy already going, and it just cranked up throughout the night. I think them coming out with that level of energy, even on their first song, just immediately made it feel like a safe space for me to do my thing. It usually takes me a little bit to warm up to full feral during a show. I kind of have to feel like the other people around me have to get into it first before I can really let loose, because I feel the kind of embarrassment that people might look at me and be like, oh, is she having a seizure? What's wrong with her? And so I kind of try to build up to it, even though sometimes I just go full in, because, you know, it's stemming. I can't help it. But from the very beginning of their show, I felt like it was okay to completely just let loose and just go full freaking force feral, baby. And so I did. And I had an absolute time of my life. It is a show that I will never forget, and I cannot wait to see them again. They need to come back to Nashville soon. And also, I just want to talk about that freaking encore. We got Power Trip, and then we got a band combo coming out for the very last song. I felt blessed. I felt like it was band Christmas. And also think it's because I tuned into that one stream, and Caleb was like, "You've never heard of the Nil? You need to check them out, Chey. You would love them." And Caleb, you were absolutely freaking correct, my dude. So thank you, Caleb. And speaking of Caleb, when I was outside talking to Kyle after the show, I mentioned that Caleb is the one who actually introduced me to their band. And Kyle was like, oh, sick, yeah, we actually just saw Caleb not too long ago in LA. He's awesome, love him. And of course, I was like, agreed, he's amazing, love him. And in my head, I didn't say it out loud, of course, but in my head, I had a little joke that was like, huh, did he warn you about me? Not in like an ominous sense, just as in like, hey, we have this fan named Chey who I introduced her to you guys. If she shows up at your show, you'll probably spot her because she kind of acts like a feral raccoon eating dinner for the first time in weeks. It's kind of funny. That's the kind of warning that I mean. But Caleb, if you ever stumble across this video, did you? Did you? Actually, the Nil, if you're watching this video, did he? You can rat him out. It's okay, I won't tell him. Did he? Because if he did, we're gonna have to have a talk. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Caleb's gonna get the bat out again. Now, alas, that is gonna be it for this video. But do not fret. I have tons of other concert videos like this on my channel for you to check out. They're all together in a playlist. I'll link it up here and down below. Lots of fun shows, lots of fun times, a lot of good music. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you ain't heard it from anyone else today, I love you. Love and peace. Bye!